Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at the Palletizing Conveyor programming Click PLC. The Machine Simulator, or MS, is part of the Easyplc software suite. It has many built-in machines like the Palletizing Conveyor machine that show different programming techniques. The Palletizing Conveyor example is one of these machines, and we will be using the Click PLC programming software. This will demonstrate a sequencer example. In this case, a box is placed upon a skid. The logic will step through various steps to perform the task. A counter will control these steps. This is one of the easiest fundamental ways all PLCs can be programmed for a sequence. We will use the free Click programming software and a Click PLUS PLC to program this Easyplc Palletizing Machine Simulator Palletizing Conveyor. Communications will be done using Modbus TCP or Ethernet. The program sequencer allows for quick and easy control of the automation system. Using the 5 steps for programming development, we will show how the sequencer is programmed. Let's get started. Detailed information contained in this video can be found at accautomation.ca. A link has been put in the description below. If you have not watched the other videos yet, there will be links in the description below that will start you at video 1. There will be links to the rest of the videos in the series as well. Step 1. Define the task. The first step of a Click or any PLC program development is to determine what must be done. Start the Easyplc Machine Simulator or MS. Select the Start button on the main page or select Machines from the main menu at the Machine Simulator window. All of the available machines will now be displayed. Click on 04 Palletizer System 1. This is the example we will be programming. To the left of the screen, information will be displayed on how the palletizing machine needs to function. Use the charge elevator to move each large wooden box onto a pallet, utilizing the turntable to direct the boxes and pallets to the elevator palletizing machine. The photocells will detect the arrival of boxes and pallets. Once the box is in the elevator, rise it to the loading position for pallet placement. After positioning the pallet, lower the box to unload it safely. The Palletizing Machine Simulator has a demo mode for this built-in machine. This will allow you to watch the operation of the palletizing conveyor. Select the demo mode for the Palletizing System 1. The demo mode will show you the basics of the palletizing conveyor operation. Move around this 3D virtual environment. The icons on the top of the window will allow you to move around this 3D environment. The first icon is the default selection. This will enable you to move around without bumping into the components. The last icon will automatically show you around this virtual environment. The first person mode will mimic a person in your 3D learning world. The third person will show you an operator and their relationship to the palletizing machine. Once we have an understanding of what must be done, we can move on to the next step in developing the Click PLC program. Step 2. Define the inputs and outputs. At the bottom of the Machine Simulator window, the View I/O will display the inputs and outputs required for this palletizing conveyor example. While still in demo mode, you can see the operation of the inputs and outputs. The Easyplc Palletizer Example 1 will require 13 digital outputs and 13 digital inputs. If you are unsure of what an output or input is doing, start the palletizing conveyor machine in Start mode. Select the View I/O at the bottom middle of the Palletizing Machine Simulator window. You can manually run the palletizer without any control or Click PLC connection. Clicking on the outputs will allow you to turn them on manually. You can then monitor the inputs to see their operation. The Reset button at the bottom of the Machine Simulator window will reset the scene back to the start. Step 3. Develop a logical sequence of operation. A flowchart or sequence table is used to understand the process that must be controlled thoroughly. It must also answer questions like, what happens when electrical power or pneumatic air is lost? What happens when electrical input devices fail? Do we need redundancy? This step is where you'll spend most of your time. Understanding everything about the operation will save you time. It will help you prevent you from continuously rewriting the PLC program logic. Knowing all these answers up front is vital in developing the PLC program. Our Click PLC Palletizing Conveyor example will break down into 3 parts. The conveyors controlling the box and skid, the turntable, and the elevator. The box and skid creation will happen if the end sensor does not see the item. This will ensure that a box and skid are always at the end of the conveyor, ready for the turntable. Our sequence table for the turntable will show the input signals on the left side and the output signals on the right. The value of the counter is shown with each step. We move to the next step by looking at the counter value of 0 and if timer 1 done and the turntable stop signal. The output that activates at that counter value of 0 is timer 1 and the turntable rotates. Repeat the process for all the other values until the last one of 7. This will reset back to 0. Counter 2 controls the sequence for the elevator. Once again, the input signals are on the left side and the output signals are on the right. The value of the counter is shown with each step. We can move to the next step if the counter value of 0 and we have the box signal. The conveyor roller 2 advances is the output that activates at the counter value of 0. Repeat the process for all the other counter values until the last value of 7. This will reset the counter back to 0. A PLC programmer must know everything about the sequence and operation of the machine before programming. Ask questions or view existing documentation to ensure that you know the logical steps to the machine's operation. Step 4. Develop the Click PLC program. The next step of our program development will be writing the ladder logic code for the Click PLC example. We will use the free Click programming software with the Click PLUS PLC. The Click series will install the program, communicate to the controller, and address the controller. Select the COM port under the Setup selection on the main menu. The available ports on the Click PLC are displayed. Using Modbus TCP or Ethernet, we can either use the WLAN or Wireless Local Area Network or Port 1 Ethernet. Select Setup for Port 1. Note, if you want to go directly to the COM port Setup Details window, select COM port Setup under the CPU configuration on the Function tab of the navigation window. A static IP address will be used for our Click PLC. This ensures that the IP address on the network can always be found. Note the IP address we are using. This will be used later for the Easyplc machine simulator connection. Under the Setup menu on the main screen, you will also see Modbus TCP. This will show us the default parameters for the Ethernet port and allow us to enable the Modbus TCP server. This is enabled by default on the controller. We will leave everything as the default values. Our Click PLC is now set to communicate to the Easyplc machine simulator via Modbus TCP client. The first 2 rungs of ladder logic will control the box and pallet conveyors. The conveyor will activate when the photocell for each component is not seen. This will automatically produce a part. When the turntable needs the part, this is compared to the sequence for the step and the conveyors will also advance. This is counter 1, which controls the turntable sequence. Returning to the sequence table, you can see the steps and inputs that will advance or increment the counter. Here are the outputs for the sequencer. You will see the counter value and inputs that will activate each output. If the output is to be turned on more than one of the counter values, you can see the conditions are placed in parallel. This is counter 2, which controls the elevator sequence. Returning to the sequence table, you can see the steps and inputs that will advance or increment the counter. Here are the outputs of the elevator sequencer. You will see the counter value and inputs that will activate each output. If the output is to be turned on by more than one of the counter values, you can see the conditions are placed in parallel. This is the end of the ladder logic code. Download the Click ladder logic program to the Click PLUS PLC. Ensure that the PLC is in run mode. Step 5. Test the program. We will use Modbus TCP on our Click PLUS PLC to communicate with the Easyplc machine simulator. Call up the Palletizing Conveyor machine simulator in start mode. The status of the machine simulator will be at the bottom of the screen. Currently we have no PLC connected. Select I/O drivers on the middle bottom of the screen. The machine simulator I/O number will be displayed. Ensure we select more I/O than the number required for our palletizing machine. The Easyplc driver is selected by default. Under the driver pull-down menu, select Modbus driver. This driver will communicate Modbus TCP or Ethernet and Modbus RTU serial. Select the configuration button. We can now enter the information for our Modbus driver. Select TCP IP. This means the Ethernet port of our computer will communicate to the Click PLC. The digital inputs from MS to the Click PLC will be C101 to C113. This will start at address 16484 due to the offset of 1. Digital outputs from MS to the Click PLC will be C201 to C213. This will begin at address 16584 due to the offset of 1. Select the OK button. You will now see the inputs and outputs specified for the Modbus driver. We can now manually assign the driver outputs to the PLC inputs and driver inputs to the PLC outputs. However, the automatic assignment works well and will save you time. Select Automatic Assignment from the driver option in the main menu. This will automatically assign the PLC I/O to the machine simulator I/O. Select Start Driver and exit from the main menu. On the bottom left side of the window, the driver communicates to the Click PLUS PLC with a green light. Select View I/O to know the inputs and output status of the machine simulator. Ensure the Click PLC is in run mode. We can see the operation of our palletizing machine. The digital inputs and outputs of the MS will correspond to the PLC controller. Using the data view window of the Click programming software, we can watch the inputs and outputs operation. Using Machine Simulator MS to test the program will ensure that our program works. Troubleshooting is quickly done without damage to any physical hardware. You can practice your modification and debug by modifying the palletizing operation in the following way. Add a control panel with start-stop buttons. Add a jog button to the control panel to sequence through the steps. Calculate the rate of full pallets coming out of the palletizing machine in pallets per hour. Let me know how you make out in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below. If you have any questions about the video, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it. If you want more information about us or you want our free ebooks on numbering systems or robust data logging, please click on the link in the description below to get it. A new video is put every Monday, so make sure you hit the subscribe button to get more videos like this in the future. Remember to click the bell beside your subscription to actually receive those notifications. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe.